Welcome back to Set the Pipe. I'm Sully, that's Bear, and that is CK. We are here with the UCLA head coach, John Hawks. John, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I love the title, Set the Pipe.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what you guys been doing, man. That's right. Your go-to. It should be your go-to.
Yeah, well, Sully, before you read the accolades, I just want everyone to take a look at John here, Coach Hawks. First of all, thanks for joining us. He's in a car. He just landed at LAX from out in Ohio State, playing 2 matches against Penn State and Ohio State, and a Big Ten showdown with Ohio State, USC, UCLA, and Penn State. What a great weekend! You won both matches, and you're still coming on Set the Pipe. We can't say thanks enough. So congrats on your weekend, and we're really happy to have you here.
I appreciate it. Yeah, an invitation from you guys. I'm not saying no to that. So
excellent. Love
awesome.
To hear it. And we got to tell you, it's probably going to you're going to have to come back for some more because your list of accolades is pretty long. We'd like to get some deep stories on that and some fun stories for sure. But let me tell the guest how you all started. You actually played at Grossmont College for a bit, right? Went to San Diego State after that, and that's when you kind of got your coaching chops a little bit. Assistant coach at Grossmont, and then you got into the big time. You were assistant coach at UCI, USC, Long Beach State, right? You actually got some national team stuff. Took a second in NORCECA, took gold most recently in NORCECA, and got 2 golds in the Pan Am Games. You're a part of that. And then, lo and behold, you got the head coaching gig at Loyola Chicago. That was a big deal, man. And you were there for a couple years, and then John Speraw stepped down. So you have only 2 head coaches in the history of UCLA take those jobs to the highest. Al Skate's 50 years, 19 titles. 13 season with Speraw, I believe. And then John Hawks gets to be the next UCLA men's head coach. That's a big deal, man. Some pretty big shoes to fill. We're excited to have you on board here. And you were the ABCA Assistant Coach of the Year too in 2022. So you've got all the accolades, and you did it the right way. No one gave you this. You earned your spot. So again, congratulations, man. And we're happy to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, the one thing Sully just said is you earned it. And we have a guest that will be releasing the pod in the next day or two who's kind of like an underdog story, a young woman that came out of Boise and became a pro. John, you started at Grossmont. You weren't a 4-time national champion setter at UCLA. You didn't, you weren't a 3-time All-American at Northridge. You weren't, you weren't,
Hawks, that wasn't subtle at all, brother.
Yeah, it wasn't. You weren't national champions like Bear and Sully. Yeah. But you worked your way all the way through it. You went into college, then you took a little sabbatical out to Ohio to run a program and a whole, school to do that. And how does it feel to be the head coach at UCLA in men's volleyball? I mean, they are the pinnacle of volleyball, and you're there. Congrats, by the way. I'm so happy. I texted you the day you got it. I couldn't be happier for you. But how does it feel?
It's obviously it's been overwhelming, to be honest with you, in a lot of really good positive ways. The guys have been great. Administration there has been fantastic, so I think it just, when you guys say I earned it, I think back about some of the things I did really well is just you treat people the right way and you don't burn bridges, and I had a lot of really positive relationships with people in the department, so that's really good. The downside for me right now, just with the way it all happened in the middle of the fall, is you lose those relationships within 24 hours with the guys that I created at Loyola. Right. And then you come to take over from these gigantic shoes and Speraw and Al Skates. And I think there's an expectation, obviously, that comes with the job. So managing that has also been challenging. And then I'm doing this without my wife and my kids, who are trying to sell the house in Chicago still. And I've seen them 2 times since I took the job in August, and they just drove out to Ohio, so I got a chance to see them.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
So it hasn't been the smoothest of transitions, but I pinch myself every day that I've been on campus. It's just an amazing place, an amazing campus, amazing people with a great tradition, and I'm blessed to be here and stoked to be back in California.
Oh. Yeah, you were 7 years, right? There, assistant coach before?
Yes, 7 full seasons.
Okay, is this your dream job, John, or?
100%.
Okay.
It's, I think it goes back to those days when you guys were all playing, and I'm going to watch the Santa Barbara term, the old
Oh,
E-bar.
right,
And
right.
it's, and the story goes that Skater would, have the second string guys play the pool play, and then you'd see the starters all roll in and, for playoffs. And you could see just a difference in the way the guys carried themselves. And I think just ever since that moment, like, I said that Tim Kelly was 275 pounds or something. He seemed massive to me. I mean,
Right.
I know he's probably 195, but Tim actually sent me a funny text from him skiing in Italy, and he goes, Hawks, I've been laughing for the last hour. 275 pounds. So, but those guys just seem bigger than life to me, and ever since then, I was just hooked on UCLA volleyball.
Yeah, and I think that's what UCLA is. I was fortunate enough to have my kid go there. My wife went there, and you're on campus all the time, and it's something different at UCLA than anywhere I've seen. It's about championships, nothing else. That's what they expect. It's not, can we win the Pac-12? Can we go to the Final Four? It's win a championship, or their season's not successful. Champions are made there, is what they say. And yeah, it's got to be a tough thing to fill. One thing you mentioned that I think it's important to our viewers and anyone that's listening is, head coaches in college and pros, they're human beings too, right? And, I was talking to your brother when we were watching that first Ohio State game a couple weeks ago, and just to not be around your family, to take a job that's your dream job. And it's an amazing job where, you're at UCLA coaching men's volleyball in one of the most prestigious universities, maybe the best, if not the best ever in men's volleyball program history, but you don't have your kids and your wife with you. And, that's tough. So commendable to do your job and do what you want to do to follow your dream. And, hopefully that house sells real quick and they can get out to this weather we've been having here this weekend.
When we were back playing men's volleyball, there was approximately 16 D1 teams. Now there's basically over 300 teams, counting JCs and D2, D3. What's your take on the growth of men's volleyball right now?
Well, I mean, obviously, I want it to go a lot faster. I mean, it'd be awesome if the Big Ten could pick it up. It'd be incredible if some of the bigger universities that sponsor women's volleyball at the highest level would take on men's volleyball. I'm not behind the closed doors listening to conversations about how they can grow this thing and why they can't add D1s. I know that there's a lot of money that they ask for. I'm happy with the growth of where it is right now from the bottom, but we need more teams at the top, and that's where, especially facing roster caps. I think I want to say we're growing, but I think this is a big step backward.
Yeah, in regards to that, do you think with all the change in college sports, and we could talk about that, today, tomorrow with NIL, do you feel that possible Power 5 conferences like a Big 12, like you just mentioned, Nebraska, fills the stadiums, arenas for women's volleyball on a Saturday versus Purdue, like I was told Ferbs, watching Charlie play against, turn the channel, Alabama's playing on one channel in football and the next channel, but do you think we can get a Nebraska? Can we get a Michigan? Can we get an Indiana to bring men's volleyball on? I mean, what an awesome conference those would be in the Big 12 and the Big 10 and, the SEC. I mean, they have such great women's volleyball, and there's so many people playing. How do you think we could do that? How is that possible?
Oh, man. I wish I knew the answer to that. Yes, I do think it's possible. And I think what we're doing in the MPSF this coming year is going to be actually pretty cool. We're on the Big Ten Network, and the USC matches and the UCLA matches are going to be on the Big Ten Linear Network, which is cool. But the rest of them will be on Big Ten Plus, and I know ESPN Plus and Big Ten Plus, like those. Big Ten has a large audience, and if we can start tapping into some of those women's volleyball fans and get them excited, and possibly an administrator jumps on and watches men's volleyball, and it's such a great product. You guys know this, I do, but it's exciting, and it's like if you're watching basketball, you guys know it's like slam dunk after slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
And the missed serves you can equate to a missed free throw. I mean, it's gonna happen, and I think if there, I feel like the growth can get there. We just need somebody to take a shot on us, right? A big,
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we go ahead, Sully.
Yeah, we talked about before that going to a women's game, even nowadays, right? The top 20 has gotten so much better over the years. But to go to a men's game, to watch it on TV compared to being there, I mean, being there, it just, TV just does not give it justice at all. When somebody says an 80-mile-per-hour serve, you kind of shrug it off. Unless you're there and everybody's jaws hit the freaking floor, like did that just happen in front of our eyes? You know what I mean? It's a big deal. So I was actually encouraged when I went to the Lewis Long Beach State game at Lewis, and it was packed house and phones were up everywhere. So I think just from that perspective, the social media perspective, it's getting its fair shake. But I got to, I'm with you, Hawks. I'm hoping somebody just kind of puts their arms around us and says, "Hey, let's just take this even higher." I'm with you on that.
Yeah, we're and I was going to say, going back to like what I think we're doing this year, and Fody Mellis is our conference commissioner. He's actually doing some different things with the Big Ten Network. There's going to be a crew of people that are assigned to each of us as MPSF schools. We're going to be doing like a mini sports center. We're going to be doing coaches corners.
Awesome.
We're going to be doing a lot of things throughout the week that I think can hopefully build this audience and this excitement and really make, like guys like your Nikolov a household name, and make guys like Cooper Robinson and Andrew
Right.
Rowan
Yep.
and Zach Rama. These guys need to be walking down the street and people recognizing who they are. And we're not there yet. We're getting closer because of social media, but I do think that we got a lot of really smart guys. They can sit at any household dinner table and have a great conversation. In men's volleyball, I think if we get out there in front of it, we can really grow this thing.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, I think. And so hearing what you're saying about the Big Ten Network, to me, that's fantastic. And again, that's probably one of the reasons why the Pac-12 fell. I mean, the network was just so not doing much. The fact that you're going to have coaches on there, they're going to do live stuff for you to follow, to promote the sport. Like you said, you can try to tap into people that might not even know men's volleyball is even really a sport other than maybe seeing it in the Olympics. The other thing that I'm hoping for, because you love them, I love them, volleyball loves them, is we now have someone in charge of all of volleyball, which is USA Volleyball, in the name of John Speraw.
Yeah.
Not that the others did not, but that is hungry, loves this sport, wants to promote the sport, wants to get the sport to where we all think it should have been when we were playing, 20 years ago, 20, more like 30 years ago.
15, whatever.
But so I love the growth, and I think for me playing back, finishing up in '93 in college and all those years, to see where it is today. Like we were having this talk last week, like 300 teams. I mean, there's teams I've never even heard of.
Never heard of.
Teams are playing like, and that's great, right? That's great. But what really grows the sport and will make it and help transcend it is starting to get the big schools, like you said, Kentucky, Tennessee, Nebraska, Oregon, schools like that, Washington. Imagine having a men's volleyball team up in Seattle. Like, how cool would that be to head up to the University of Washington? And like, those schools can do it. They have to want to, and they have to see the growth.
I think that you mentioned a lot of those schools, and there's a lot of really positive men's players that are influences at those universities too. With Jarrett at Texas, and I could go on. It's a bummer John Cook now is not at Nebraska, but with Danny there, I think Jalen Reyes is there, and you got David Hunt and Matt Ulmer taking over at Kansas.
Right.
Those are great programs that would obviously benefit. And I think when you look at men's volleyball and you look at the beach programs that are also there with men's programs and indoor women's, those programs have a fraternity sorority of 60 volleyball players, and those programs do really well recruiting. There's a lot of really positives to it.
Yeah, and when I was at Bradley, it was actually being discussed in private, I guess, but it was great because it was opposite seasons of the women's. The gym is literally just sitting there. The nets are there, right? We'd have to get balls, but I mean, all the equipment is there for the most part, at least to train and take a bus, don't have to fly, you know what I mean? And it was just, Title IX plays a part in that, of course, but it's really not that big of a stretch to just kind of think about, go, oh yeah, we do have an empty gym. Well, we do already have the nets. We already have the poles. I mean, that's a big cost right there, already eliminated. So
yeah, and you can fundraise too. Like some of these big schools, I understand about the budgets and the money that needs to go in and out for all of these programs. But like we talked about when I played at Northridge with John Price, I mean, we used to put up grass courts every weekend in the summer to raise money. And so like schools starting out, I think it would be fantastic. I want to pivot a little bit because I think it's a cool story to tell. Is you're coaching college, and then you took a chance on yourself and went out to Indiana, I believe, to start something fresh. Ohio, excuse me. Went out to Ohio to start something new and fresh. You ended up changing your life there, and a lot of reasons. Just give us a little few minute tidbit of why you left college volleyball to go run a high school, more than a program, but an entire school, and tell us a little bit about that experience.
And then coming back.
Yeah, I think the that time in Ohio was the greatest of my life at the time, and really like I left Long Beach State to go do something different where I worked with John Sprout at UC Irvine prior to that, a few years back from 2003 to 06, and got a divorce because my life was all volleyball. It was like I woke up, I worked for a medical company. We made an automatic defibrillator. I got off of work at 1:30, went and coached UC Irvine from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and then I would go coach Balboa Bay Volleyball Club from 7 to 10. And, I just was grinding for so long, and then doing USA volleyball stuff on the weekends and really just trying to get my name out there. And then it was challenging. I was also coaching high school volleyball at the time too. So it was like there were so many things going on that naturally my wife at the time was like, okay, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So it's not what I signed up for, right? Being a coach's wife is tough.
It's tough.
Or coach's husband, the spouse. Absolutely. 100%.
Really tough.
Yeah. So what I did is the reason why I just wasn't meeting the right girl in Southern California. And I just said, okay, I'm going to go to the Midwest and I'm going to start something different. Just go try to reset. And I didn't know what it was going to do. I didn't know where it'd take me. And I was like ready to be, I'm okay being out of college coaching. It's all right. So I started doing that, and I ran this volleyball academy, and I met some great kids, and I had some kids from all over the world, and one went to USC, Gianluca Grasso, and I trained him and really adopted him from Brazil. And that whole experience allowed me to, in the first 4 months, meet my wife. And
awesome.
She's born and raised in Strongsville, Ohio, and went to college in Chicago, which, kind of later took us back to Chicago. But I was in a place where they were talking about building this $100 million sports complex, and kids living on campus, and academics happening during the day, and then all the athletes being much like an IMG academy.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. The same. So the people that started IMG or were part of IMG actually started this in Ohio. Well, the cost of the education, the location in Ohio, it was like trying to sell a Ferrari in the middle of winter, right? I mean, it was really tough. And I was promised a lot of things, and they didn't deliver on a bunch of things. So I just became a little bit disenchanted with it. And I connected with club director Paul Schipper, who was out there running ABC Volleyball Club on the women's side. There are 55 teams now, super successful. He goes, "Hey, I need you to come coach the team." And they hadn't qualified. They missed out on a couple qualifiers. So I went in 2015, took this team on 17 Open team, and won a championship.
Saw that. Yep.
So it happened during that time, though, that I was also working at a nuclear power plant, running a little team, and I thought, honestly, I'm done coaching volleyball. And then Spraw called me up and goes, "Hey, Andrea Becker's leaving. I need you to step in." And it was like within a second, I'm
back in, baby.
moving out to LA. Yeah, so it was just it's funny how things work out, and yeah, I just am super blessed to be back.
How does your wife know her? But how does your wife like California from the Midwest? Being from the Midwest.
Yeah, it's such a good question. Like, obviously, if she had her way, we'd be in Ohio.
Understood.
But a lot of the reasons why I left UCLA as an assistant to go back to Chicago was that her grandparents were in their 90s. They had since passed away. Her brother had a baby. So we got to see all the things that we were missing in California.
Right.
And now that that stuff is in a better situation, she was so great. I told her, "Hey, UCLA just called me about this job," and she goes, "We got to do this." Like, she was,
that's awesome.
She was all in and super supportive. And yeah, I'm so thankful that you have that support, because it honestly would have been a real tough decision, because I'm going to listen to my family, right?
Of course.
So, yeah.
And to have that support is huge. I mean, we all have talked to coaches that have been divorced because of that reason. Men or women, it doesn't matter. If you don't get it from a spouse perspective, it can really make your life hell. And because it's a grind, coaching in college is a grind. And if you don't get it, yeah, it's kind of doomsday sometimes for your marriage. But it sounds awesome. You got a wonderful woman. It sounds like Midwest.
She's amazing. She's
Midwest
amazing.
people. I mean, you can't go wrong with those Midwest people.
Absolutely.
That's for
sure. So John, you do all of this coaching. You go run this academy in Ohio. You come back to be an assistant. Loyola of Chicago opens up. You get your first crack at being a head coach in college. How did that feel? I mean, that had to be vindicating in some regards and also scary in the other regards, right? Like, I've worked so hard, I deserve this, but holy crap, I'm a head coach in Division I, and if I don't do something, they fire me, right? That's how it works. So how did that go? And how was that for you just in general?
Well, I think it's John Spratt prepared me so well. With him working with the national team and being gone for so long, I worked with Alan Knipe, and Alan Knipe was obviously, he got the head coaching job to coach USA Volleyball my time there too. So I've seen a lot of transition, and I've watched these great leaders. And John allowed me, he gave me a lot of autonomy to do the things that I was doing. Plus, I was head coaching my club teams, and I was doing those things to kind of scratch that itch.
Mm-hmm.
But UCLA really prepared me for that, and I went to Loyola, and I wasn't nervous at all. I was ready for it.
You're prepared. You were prepared.
Oh yeah. And it was and the great thing about those guys at Loyola, they're just so humble and hungry, and they have a chip on their shoulder, and they want to go prove it to everyone else of like, hey, why didn't you recruit us? So I recruited a bunch of guys that were like me, just like, hey, we're going to go grind and be tough. And you see the season they're having now. They had a couple good wins this last weekend, and I'm just so proud of those guys.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's tough when you have a coach like you that leaves, right? And you don't leave because you got fired, or you leave for a dream job. It's hard to pass up someone asking you to go to UCLA, but you help train those kids. You've been there for a few years. I'm sure you're pulling for them, and it's a difficult, for both sides of it. But, we've been doing this for about 4 or 5 episodes, just talking with coaches, Furbs, ourselves, volleyball. And first of all, it warms my heart to see your story, not just because I know you so well and all of that, but like, play at Grossmont, coach at Grossmont. All of a sudden you're an assistant, you're running clubs, you're working at the same time, you're grinding just to get it. And something I want to say for everyone listening, young kids that play, young kids that want to coach, young kids that want to get into sportscasting, like we talked about last week, Sully, is if you prepare yourself, if you grind, if you work hard, if you learn from the best, you pay attention to everything, just as Coach John Hotz just said, wasn't easy, but he was ready for it. the moment wasn't too big for him to be a head coach because he had prepared, he had worked, he was ready for it. So that's great to hear. And you did so well there. And, you already started off such a great season so far. Right now you're third in the country, and, you might jump to 2. And that leads us to next Friday night, which is going to be super exciting. I will be wearing a UCLA shirt, being proud of that. Sorry, Al. I love you, but sorry, boys. I know it's the 49ers for you, but it's going to be an unbelievable volleyball match here in Southern California at the Pyramid. Long Beach State hosts UCLA. Long Beach State's number 1 in the country. UCLA's number 3. They just got to drive down. You coach there. You've been there. You know Al, like he's a good friend as well. How is that when you guys are playing each other? I mean, obviously during the match it's cutthroat. You guys are winners, and that's all you want to do. But is it bittersweet at the same time, or is this going to be really something different now that you're the head coach?
No, I mean, it's anytime you get to play a great team and a great program like Al runs there, I think it's really good for men's volleyball. We go back to what we talked about earlier is how exciting like you guys have sent me texts. I've got texts from so many people about how many tickets are out there. And I've seen on SeatGeek that there's tickets being sold for $3,000 a seat. Like, have you guys seen this?
It's a big deal.
Never. But that's what's so great about men's volleyball or volleyball, the growth of it. I mean, $3,000 to come watch you guys play. I better get on a list. I better make a call.
You better make a call.
I mean, I'm seeing that, and I've obviously been a part of a lot of really good Long Beach UCLA matchups over the last decade. And I remember in 2018 when we ended up losing to Long Beach in the final at UCLA. We played at the Pyramid earlier that year, and it was lines wrapped around the building, people standing room only on the rails. Incredible volleyball match. The match was at Poly Pavilion. You got 9,000 people sitting in Poly Pavilion. It's incredible. Just, I'm excited. I'm excited for our guys to go out there and just showcase all the hard work that they put together in the practice gym. And both teams are nowhere near finished product. So it'll be at times probably an ugly match. But I think the world's going to see some just unreal highlight plays from both teams.
Yeah, I wish I could be there, Hawks. And but I'm going to go back in time a little bit. We didn't meet until later on in life. And but CK and Bear, you guys have known Hawks for a long time. Bear, CK,
yeah.
How'd you guys meet this guy?
Well, yeah, I was kind of curious how you met. How'd you meet CK there, Hawks? What's that story?
There's got to be a story. Right? Oh, okay, look at he's adjusting his chair.
He's adjusting himself.
It's been a lot of
making
years,
sure
actually,
he can tell what he can tell.
I know.
Right?
I'm actually trying to think about the first time, and I think it just goes back to, Mooney coached at Santa Margarita with me, and I was there with Eddie Rapp, and I think that's maybe when I know I met her there the first time.
Yeah.
And then, and I called her Moons. I still do.
I still call her that every time, no doubt.
But I remember going to your football games and, your tragic game at Coast, and I was, Mark Presho's a guy that is dear to all of our hearts here. And he and I grew up since kindergarten together. And, so just when you kind of hang in that circle, CK, dude, I've always enjoyed being around you. You're funny, you're fun, you're always a great time. And I mean, it's just, Bear, we coached at Santa Margarita together too. So
that was Eddie gave me my first coaching job. And the first time I was coaching, I was coaching with you, and we won CIF with Marcus Stossel, and
yes.
that was quite a treat, and I learned a lot from you just in that first year of coaching. How to deal with some of the players, how to deal with some of the parents. I learned quite a bit from you, man.
And I've always said that about the great coaches out there. They're the most humble, and they're willing to share. And I've always surrounded myself with those type of people. And Tim, that was beautifully said. You guys have been coaching for a very long time, and to be able to say that to, a buddy, right? And somebody that you went to Santa Margarita and coached with, that was a long time ago.
We actually even played a little bit there. Do you remember that, Hawks, where we were on the B court, or we were we were playing against the team, right? You were setting, trying to I was trying to hit a little bit, and I had just come off knee surgery, but whatever. But that was a lot of fun, even getting to play a little bit with you.
All those, I mean, and anytime I get to see you guys with success, and I think that's what we all want. We just want to see each other succeed and have, amazing families, and that's what's cool about doing this with you guys.
Well, and thank you. And that's what's so cool about doing the show for us. And what we're trying to do here is that we're trying to promote the sport of volleyball. We're trying to help grow the sport of volleyball, but we're also here trying to tell stories, right? And you and I probably have too many that we can tell on here that we probably couldn't tell on here, but just the fact that, we go way back. I mean, we're talking, I don't even know what year that was, 97, 98, something like that. And
exactly,
just the stories of us and friends and Bear, and you went to Edison and he went to Fountain Valley. He works at Edison. Presh, I mean, I'm going to get Presh in my studio here real soon. And I usually talk all the time, but he's going to just crush me every time I say something. So that'll be a really fun show when he's on. But, he ties a lot of us together.
CK, I think we got somebody on the line.
Oh, who do we got?
What's up, fellas? It's Mikey Hawks from Laguna Beach.
Oh,
Mikey Hawks calling in to talk to his brother.
The brother. Nice. Excellent. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, guys. And congratulations for getting the legendary Coley Kyman on there. I'm stoked for you guys.
Yeah, that was hard, because he doesn't like to talk, so we have to coax him a lot to talk about things and ask questions and get involved. It's kind of an issue for us, but he's coming along. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm doing my best.
Yeah,
so Mikey, who's the better athlete? You played soccer at Cal. John played volleyball at Grossmont. Where are we at? Who's the better athlete?
John.
You have to say it one more time.
That question to Johnny.
I'll let John answer it. Who's the better athlete, John?
Okay, so John's gonna answer.
Mike's a better athlete. He's a good football player, really good soccer player. I'm a way better volleyball player. That's evident. But
that's a fact.
I think when you're the younger brother, I think you tend to reap the benefits of getting pushed around and kind of trying to hang with the older guys. So I'm going to take a little bit of credit for his success athletically.
So he basically
a lot of credit, buddy.
Yeah, it sounds like he kicked your butt a little bit when you were younger. Is that kind of what I'm reading between the lines here?
God, yeah, that's an understatement.
Who was more popular at Edison High School?
Oh, that's got to be me. That's hands down me for sure.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we were different years, but one of my highlights probably of my athletic career was when I was a sophomore. I was on varsity soccer, and John was on varsity soccer. And we were both starting. John was outside half, and I was center forward. And we got to play side by side. We were captains a lot of the time, and we had the whole year. We actually had the best season in Edison soccer history at that time, making it to the CIF final. And then just fell apart in the finals against the undefeated Palos Verdes Buzzsaw.
But you got there. That's amazing.
And you got to play with them. That's cool. You guys, brothers, got to play with each other. It doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. That I would say that was probably one of the highlights of my athletic career for sure.
So what do you think about Big Brother taking over this historic program?
I'm fired up. Mostly, I'm fired up that he's home.
Yeah,
oh sure.
Yeah, we just went over that. Yeah, with his wife still in Ohio and coming back. They were all in. So and yeah, I'm sure I'm sure you're excited to be him in SoCal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're excited to go to the games, and I'm already the number one fan. I've got my Big Ten Plus subscription going. Watched the Penn State game Friday. Watched Ohio State yesterday. And in fact, Johnny, great road trip for you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We needed that.
Yeah,
it's great when I talk to him.
Really good.
I'm texting Mikey, and it's great because it's we. It's not UCLA. It's not my brother's team. It's we. Hey, we play it.
That's right.
We're playing Penn State. We're up 2-1. It's just great. I love it because I have a Bruin in me too. So it's great. Any stories you want to tell, Mike?
It's a little tough for me being a Berkeley Bear, but at least it's another Bear that I'm rooting for. The Bruin.
You're right.
I can deal with that.
So we're growing this podcast, and so you got any stories about Coach Hawks there that you can share? The only ones that you can share, by the way.
Well, I was trying to think about that. Everybody's got a bad tattoo story, and Johnny's got probably one of the worst.
Oh, do tell, do tell.
Mine's a close second. It's not good, but we had a pack of guys that we ran around this that were our best buds, and we called each other the buddies. And it's just kind of one of those things, like it just grew and grew. We were the buddies. There was a group of us, and we were all kind of going away to college. And we thought, all right, what are we going to do? And we're, well, let's get a tattoo together. And so we're like, oh, what are you going to get? So we ended up just thinking, all right, well, let's get a B that stands for buddies. And, we'll put it on our ankle. And then if you want to do something with it, you can. So most of us just put a little B on there. We came up with like a little font script, put a B. Oh, John comes rolling out of his little appointment, and he's all wrapped up from like his mid ankle to his foot, and I'm like, what the heck did you just do down there? He decided when he was flipping through the book that it would be a cool idea to have like his B busting through a brick wall, some 3D designed brick wall. So he's got his little bee in there, and then I did something stupid. I got a hawk on it sitting on top of the bee, and now it just looks like a big blob.
No,
I need a picture of that.
It looks like a vulture.
I got to say that I'm sure Coley has a bad tattoo story. I think I've seen one of his on his arm with a barbed wire.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I
you're
don't know
right.
if those are bad. The only one I have is Chris McGee and I. We were supposed to win the national championship to the Bruins, by the way, to Johnny, to your Bruins, and we all were going to get tattoos. And we lost, so McGee and I were the only ones that got it. So I have Cal State Northridge on my ankles too. So I'm proud of that though. That's my worst
At least
tattoo
we
story.
didn't get him on our lower back, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point. So I want to know when we're getting Johnny down at the house for the next UFC. That's the big one. I know he's playing every weekend, but we got to get you down there soon, John.
That's a great question.
Yeah, great question.
Well, when he doesn't have a Saturday night game, because the UFC's pretty much almost every weekend, so. His next non-Saturday night game, we'll get him over, and then we'll get you guys over.
Beautiful. Awesome. Beautiful.
Really cool. Yeah, we thought we'd surprise you with that, John, to have your brother on here. We thought that'd been pretty cool. So Coley set that up.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, Mikey.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
good to hear
of course,
both,
Johnny, and you too, bud. And congrats on a great weekend on the road. That was 2 tough teams you guys beat, or let me just say we beat.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Nice job, buddy.
Oh, and then we got to pop up the game Friday night.
Yeah, we just did that.
Yeah, we just did that. I'm
Right
coming.
before you
We're
came
driving
on.
together, Mikey. You and I are driving together. Moons is coming too. I'll have my Bruins shirt on.
Perfect.
Of course, she will. And can't wait to support both teams. Al and his Long Beach 49ers, as well as the Bruins at UCLA. So we'll definitely do that on Friday night. It's going to be exciting. I expect it to be, if not sold out, as close to full as you would expect in a place like
for
that.
sure, sold out.
Yeah, it's gonna be packed, and I'm gonna be. I just wrapped up my Fanatics order, and I'm gonna be all decked out. So I've got my hats, my gear.
Do you have one of those
course you
big
do.
heads of your brother? Do you have one of those big head signs on your brother? No.
Well, you know what? Not yet, but I'm in. I could probably whip something up for the game.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure
That'd
you
be
can.
awesome.
Well, Mikey, thanks for joining. Really appreciate
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Good talking to you guys,
All right, bud.
Johnny. I'll
All right,
talk to
take
you
care.
later. Yeah.
All right, love you.
So, John, what's next for you? Aspirations wise, you're coaching at UCLA. You hit the pinnacle of men's volleyball in the collegiate level, maybe of all levels. You want to win a natty, more than one. Do you want to coach on the national team? Do you want to start a club? Or are you just happy being at UCLA and just wanting to be maybe one of the legendary coaches like the last two?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I currently am the head coach of the U21 national team.
Right.
So this summer we're going to the Pan Am Cups, and then we're going to the World Championship in China. So I'm finishing up that obligation, but I do love being a part of the USA volleyball program. I think they do there's nothing like wearing your country's colors and flag on your chest. Like there's no feeling like it. So I would like to do that. I would love to coach with Karch. I think just being in the gym with him and listening to him would be amazing. Would I like to do that down the road? Yeah. I think it would be unbelievable, but my focus is on winning for these Bruins and winning for UCLA and being great for the guys and pouring into them, because I think that with the growth of the sport and how great we can be, I'm excited to lead the program.
That's excellent, because there's some coaches out there that just love the college game, that will stay with the college game, have no aspirations to go to USA. But you had bookends. You had Al Knipe, Olympic head coach. You had John Sprott, Olympic head coach. So you're kind of lined up to at least understand what that all entails and what it takes, and the time commitment and mentors you're set up pretty sweet, actually. And you may actually have a shot of doing both. I mean, Sprott, I don't know how he did it, by the way, and this is somebody from a distance away, but for UCLA head coach and the USA national team head coach, that's amazing to me.
I mean, Pat, I think that, what John did and what Alan did in trying to manage their families through this whole thing too. And that's where the problem becomes, right? Is how do you balance everything? I don't think, and this is just me being fully transparent, I don't think that I would be a great head coach with that national team, because I think you have to have a former player that has done it or played professionally overseas. I would obviously love that honor, but I'm just not. I don't think I'm qualified for that job. So
right now,
I would.
If you win 4 national championships in the next 6 years, maybe, right? Maybe.
I mean, okay, then I'll revisit it in 6 years. But I would be. I mean, I love being an assistant too. I think just when you
there's something to be said to be an assistant for sure.
Yeah. I think it's. You see a lot of head coaches that would prefer to be assistants because of all the stuff you have to do. Just besides, I mean, I feel more like a CEO of a program than I do a coach. And that's. I think you ask a lot of head coaches now, and that's probably what it's turning into.
Yeah, well, Kalani Mahi, I don't know if you know Kalani, but he's been around him. He was head coach at Bradley, head coach at University of Oklahoma. And once he left Oklahoma, he's like, I like training. It's what I do. I'd like to train. I don't like to do all the other stuff the head coach does. And it does, like Furbringer. Furbringer was been assistant coach forever, right? And so, that's interesting you say that, because I think that the goal is always to be that head coach until you become the head coach and go, I don't know if this is for me or not, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
You got to do stuff in the community. You have speaking engagements. You're going to fundraisers. You're doing a ton of stuff away from the court, and it just takes away from your passion maybe for volleyball, being in the gym and training the guys.
Yeah, that's where, I think good leaders, and at least what I've learned from people, is that you have to be able to delegate. You have to be able to let go. And I like to empower my staff. So I've got Brandon Talaferro, I've got Lindsey Brown, I've got Nick Vogel, who do great jobs in their own with their own niche. And, some like Nick is running game plans and defense, and Brandon's working with the offense with Lindsey. So I have to almost like take a step back and manage the game. And I think that letting go of some of that stuff is really challenging. And it's like, how do you just keep control of everything when you feel like you're letting control go? And that's
where
tough.
A great staff comes into play. And
100%.
You can trust those guys with anything.
Yeah, right. You got to trust them. And I think that's the ones that win every time, or win a lot. It's not just, the head coach gets a lot of the accolades, as they should, for an example, but like there's a staff behind that head coach, right? There is. I mean, we could talk about Jared Elliott. I mean, look at Eric Sullivan. He's been an assistant there forever. He was an assistant under Cook. He finally just took his first head coaching job. It's a terrible job too. I think
terrible.
USA national women's team. Like, just coming off of 2 finals in a row in the Olympics, and that's what he's taken over. But so I think that also is a true testament to you, and true testament of coaches that are successful and that can be the best of the best. Is it's not just them, and you like you just said, you realize that and you acknowledge that, and putting the right people and the right staff where you trust and the team trusts them. That's just the recipe for success.
Yeah.
To be honest, you're spoiled. I mean, you are. The mentors that you've had, there's not too many people out there in our profession that can go out and say, well, here's John Spra's been my mentor for, 8-10 years, and Al Knipe, and it's like, how many people get to say that? And then you rub elbows with Eric Sullivan, Jared Elliott, and all, you named all these because you know them, and yeah, there's not too many people that get to sit where you're sitting, Hawks, and really reap the benefits of those mentors.
And earned it. That's what's so
sure.
cool. We've
Oh,
said it
yeah,
a few
yeah,
times,
for
and you've
sure.
earned it. You've earned it, John. And that's what makes me so happy about it is, knowing you forever, like you said, coaching with E-Rap and Moons back in the day. But you went from there, coaching at Santa Margarita, which I'm, going to another ball game there tomorrow night, like watching high school sports, which is pretty amazing, to being the head coach at UCLA. Like, it's incredible. And that's what also makes the reason why we're doing this and this sport. You said it before. It's such a great product. It's such a fun game. It's so exciting to play. It's so exciting to watch. It's so exciting to be a part of. We've mentioned, all of us have probably mentioned 10, 15 names each on this in different times. Like, that's all from volleyball, right? That's all the community we know. Those are folks you worked with, you've asked help for, they've asked help from you, you've done things with you. It's such an incredible community. And I think if we can get the word out of that, not just the sport itself, that creates it even more of growth. Because the game itself, just if you start watching it and you're there, it's incredible. But you start understanding the culture and the people, how great the people are in volleyball. I'm excited to see where this thing is in the next 5 or 10 years from when I was playing to now. It's been great.
Yeah, that's right. I think that we touched on that. I mean, our next 4, we've got Long Beach twice, and then we got Irvine twice, and they're number 2. So it's like the Bruins are going to be tested here.
So when you play UCLA twice, you come to the Pyramid, then they come up to Poly. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
And then same with Irvine. When do you come down to UCI?
I'll
look
I don't
it up.
know the dates.
Yeah,
I don't know the dates.
Yeah, your brother told me, so we'll go to that one too, as long as I don't have a hoop game that night. But that's what's again, watching men's volleyball, like when I played and when we played, we were playing Long Beach, we were playing UCLA, we were playing Hawaii, great teams, some of the best ever. You guys just came back from a road trip. You got to go to Ohio State, you got to go to Penn State. You're on a campus that is like, they just won the national championship in football. Like, this is big time, right? And then you get to come back and still play the number 1 and the number 2 teams in the country in some pretty big facilities within the Bren Center at Irvine, Poly at UCLA, and the Pyramid. I expect all of those places to be pretty crowded, and again, and just another step for men's volleyball and volleyball in general, just to see the growth keep going. I'm excited to see all those matches, and I think you guys, I'm going to predict 3-1 in those 4 for you Bruins. I mean, it's going to be tough to go 4-0. I think you guys are, after watching the Ohio State game the first time, and again, for everyone else, they lost to Ohio State a few weeks ago. They've got a couple kids on the team from Los Angeles. The fires, a lot of things were going on. Went out to play them. Still no excuses. A match is a match, and Ohio State beat you. They did some really good things, but you guys just weren't, I thought, your normal self. You've come back. You've won all those games since, and you're far from peaking. It's still early in the season, but you're really starting to play well together. And I think, like I said, those can be some high level matches.
Absolutely. You guys had touched on like what the game was like when you guys played, 30 years ago.
25, come on.
I
15.
mean, like, if you guys remember, like, it was, if you touched 11 feet, that was like, oh, that's good. Now these guys are touching 12 feet, 12.5, 12.6.
Jeez.
And the game is played so much faster, too. And the complexities of the offense and the blocking schemes, and the game has come so far in the last 15 years. Think about how it was even 15 years prior to that. Like, it's crazy how much different it is.
Well, we talked about jump serving. Like, when I played, there was a couple people. Hilliard was one of them. Maybe Kevin Wong, I can maybe name, honestly, there's maybe 3 or 4 folks at all that jump serve. There's not one person that stands on the ground, men or women, anywhere. I never see anyone just stand there. So, like, that in itself has evolved immensely, right? And obviously the scoring's changed where you just want to
the rules,
throw that ball up and swing as hard as you can for a serve, because if it nets, let's just side out.
It's fair game,
We just side out, so.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I think so many people get hung up on right now is the missed serves. And I listen, you saw with Loyola and Pep, they missed 37 serves the other night, but they still won. And then I've been a part of teams where we missed 37 serves in 2021 and we won. And it doesn't make it fun to watch, and none of us go back and tell our guys to go miss a serve. Like, we're not telling them. So it's but I do think you have to serve like that against the really good teams. against the 80% of them, you don't have to serve like that. You got to serve strategically. Take a big guy out, take the front row outside out, cut somebody. You can do some things to. So I do think that we can, as coaches, get better at managing that part of the game. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, we'll move on, but it's. I think just the product and what we're going to see against Irvine, against Long Beach State, you're going to see some just amazing athletes playing the game at a pretty high level.
You know, on the bench, John, you'll notice if you guys watch the UCLA and Long Beach State game, you have Lindsey Brown on your bench, right? And you had her at Loyola.
Yeah.
There's not very many females on the men's game, right? So why Lindsey?
Oh God, she is so smart, and she's a really good connector with the guys. She works with setters. She's just highly technical, highly capable, an amazing recruiter. Her brain is I'm just impressed. And for me, bringing her over was a no-brainer. She adds so much value on both sides of the ball, in the office, in the recruiting, in the landscape. Just an amazing person, and is private, but she loves what she does, and she pours everything into the guys. So I'm just so fortunate to have her.
That's awesome. Yeah, because when I was doing some research, I'm like, female assistant coach in the men's game. Nothing wrong with it. You just don't see it, right? You see a lot more men's on the women's side, but to have the women on there, right? Because Andrea was more of a sports psychologist, right, for Spur Off. Yeah. But it sounds like Lindsey gets into the thick of things, and I was curious about it. Good to see. Just curious.
Yeah, I think Sproul would say that Andrea was probably more for him than for really the guys. And you know, you've got Blossom Sato at UCSD. You've got Nikki Sandlin. Nikki's got 2 female assistant coaches. Like, I mean, just super cool that there's some women out there that are doing great things. And,
right.
Yeah, I'm excited for all of them.
I think everything seems to come full circle with us in a lot of these podcasts, but it comes back to what we've talked about of how far volleyball's come and how it's grown. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm not saying in the early 90s that guys on Northridge or Long Beach wouldn't have listened to a woman coach. I'm not saying that, but they weren't as prevalent. Women's volleyball wasn't maybe nearly as big. The sport has grown so much that why wouldn't you listen to someone that knows what they're talking about? Who cares if they're a male or a female, or who cares, right? Like if I was coaching a boys team and Misty or Carrie were around and they were in town and they wanted to come, talk to my boys team, like, oh, you're not going to listen to them? Like, oh,
Misty?
It's just a couple girls.
What do you know, Misty? Carrie? Like, what do you know? What do you know anything about volleyball? What?
It's just awesome to see the growth of it. And for you to have a female on staff, I think it's great. I expect it. I expect it both ways. Obviously, on the women's game, we just finally had our first woman ever coaching in the finals, which happened to be 2 of them, which was pretty cool. And it's just going to continue to grow. And at the end of the day, what I want, what you want, what we all want is to watch this sport grow. We just want to see every person being a part of that growth. And whether, whoever it is, as long as it can help grow the sport and be a part of this culture and what we talked about, I'm excited to see it. That's great. Great to see.
It aligns with the recruiting, right? You want the right fit for your program that can do the job and get respected and all that kind of stuff. Same thing with those athletes. And man, if you found something with Lindsey, I think that's great. Keep it up. You sound very fired up on her Hawks.
It also, like, I think in today's day and age, like with social media, the kids used to recruit a kid that was 18 and they come in as an 18-year-old. And now they're coming in and they act like 15-year-olds, and and it's not, I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just how they've been raised, and their parents are like hovering over them, and the parents know everything these kids are doing nowadays. And honestly, I think having a female on staff also helps with some of that. Like, I don't want to say motherly figure, but it does help with some of that. Yeah. And I mean, I grew up with Mike D'Alessandro and Dan Glenn and Charlie Brand and these guys that were like, they'd knock you over if you were on balance, and you can't do that nowadays. Like, it's so having to evolve over the years, and Lindsey is just another product of that, just that evolution of all of us as coaches and men.
Guys, you got anything else? Because we can go on for 3 more hours, to be honest, Hawks, and we know you're in the thick of things right now. Coley,
I would say is this, my last thing I'll say, even though I've been saying it, John, congrats.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
proud of you. My family's proud of you. If anyone's listening to this, hit subscribe. Keep watching this channel so we can grow, bring people like John on. Right off the airplane coming home from Ohio State,
that's
Penn State
huge,
in Ohio.
brother.
Incredible.
Pulling his car over to jump into this call. And it's really just, thanks for that. And again, everyone, if you're in Southern California next Friday night and you love the sport of volleyball, I'd get off maybe SeatGeek if you don't want to pay $3,000. But besides that part of it, get yourself to the Pyramid on Friday night. It's a Friday night. It should be super exciting. It's the #1 team in the country. Long Beach State hosting the #3 team in the country, UCLA. Great stories behind there. John used to coach at both. It's his first year, the head coach at UCLA. It's going to be a fabulous matchup, and it's going to be one of the best volleyball matches of the early year to come to. So, and if you see me, come say hello and hit subscribe.
Yeah, I'll be watching from afar, Bear. Hopefully you can get there if you're not coaching that night.
I'm up at El Camino that night.
All right. So you got volleyball coaches
I don't think I'm going to be
going to work. That's all right.
Did you say that you play back-to-back, though? Do you play Saturday night at Pauley? Or is...
No. So we have about 5 or 6 days in between matches. So the teams will recover, regroup, get in the video room, and then those adjustments will happen, right? Like, I don't know where Long Beach is going to start. I've got some ideas of some matchups that I want to see, but I mean, if you're thinking about if this is much watch TV, right? So you've got Cooper Robinson and Zach Rama attacking against Moni Nikolov, right?
Yeah.
And you've got Nikolov and Andrew Rowan, the 2 best setters going head to head, and just the physicality is going to be absolutely electric. I mean, Cam Thorne and Dieris McCraven are just 2 electric arms, and Vargas and Ito David, and I mean, this is going to be really cool. It's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be awesome.
Wait. And if there's any problems in siding out, and you just look at me in the stands and say, "Hey guys, just set the pipe."
Set
CK's
the
coming
pipe.
in.
Just set the pipe, brother.
pipe.
Not even the bic. Just set
That's
the
right.
pipe. You'll be fine all night long.
Yeah.
Well, Hawks, we appreciate you, brother.
Thank you so much.
We hope to have you on more as the years go on. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Right on.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey,
All right,
thank you guys. Love you guys. See you.